What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite New York Jets subscription podcast, Badlands. I'm your host, Joe Caporoso, joined as always by Connor Rodgers. We got a lot of negative things to say about the New York Jets today. Connor, your first chance to speak on Sunday night's catastrophe. We wanted to give you a little breathing room because Sunday was a tough one for you in particular. I do like your hat if you're watching on video and you get the Knicks hat going. Both Connor and I are Knicks fans, so we are excited for that tonight. But CR, how you doing? How you feeling?
Man, it's crazy that we're here, right? And it's not in the capacity that they lost, because going on the road to Pittsburgh, no matter what state that team is in, and they're not a bad one this year, they're just a weird team, and they often are. It's not that they went on the road to Pittsburgh and lost. It's just the culmination of everything. It's that They got absolutely shellacked in the second half. They got blown out. We could say that. You can't afford even a loss, let alone a blowout loss, because you already lost to Denver in a way that was unacceptable. You couldn't close the door on, or couldn't finish the comeback on Minnesota. You don't hit your field goals against the Bills. Like, at some point, you sit there and you go, you can only point to one mistake each game until they pile up into multiple losses that the team just is significantly underperforming across the board. And you know, it's so funny. You brought up, Sunday was brutal. Like, you watched the Mets season end, although it felt so wildly different. So wild. I've never flushed a playoff exit that easily like I did with the Mets this year, because it's the concept, right, of overachieving and underachieving, which is one of the most fascinating aspects of sports. When you go in with no expectations, it really does set the bar so differently than this year. But that's not giving the Jets an excuse. The Jets have expectations this year because they've been shitty for almost 15 years. And they've tried everything, right? Like, they've tried multiple top 5 picks at quarterback. They've tried bridge guys. They've tried now trading for a future Hall of Famer. They've tried everything. And at some point, and I don't sit here and look at it, because some people do this and it surprises me. It's not, well, they tried everything and they're just cursed or they're unlucky. That's not possible. It's literally not possible. It's that you're a bad organization because you make bad decisions. And let me make this clear. I'm not getting behind this microphone and saying like trading for Aaron Rodgers was a mistake. We thought it was really the one button the Jets could press at the time because of how many times they've failed to develop a quarterback or how many years of losing. And let's be real, where the Jets are right now, ironically, like, Joe, what's the percentage blame you put on Rodgers for this right now?
Blame pie. I mean,
it's low.
It's low. It's not as much of his fault as I think a lot of people are making it out to be. And we'll have plenty to say about him in this pod that's not positive, but he's an easy person to turn on because of everything that comes with him and because he's the quarterback and because some of the on-field demeanor and quotes. But this goes back. This is a chain reaction if you really make it about just the Douglas era. And you pointed this out when we were texting about it. And I'm going to save that my new bit, which is going to be WFAN Joe, where I give a ridiculously hot take. I'll save that for War Room. But you pointed this out when I said it, was that all this goes back to early mistakes Joe Douglas made in his tenure, and the culmination of it is needing to throw a Hail Mary with Aaron Rodgers and over-leveraging, counting on him to be an MVP at 40 years old off a serious injury it's not all on him. Like, he's been fine. He certainly hasn't been himself, but he has not been an unmitigated disaster. Could be better. You can't be like, I think it's like, I don't know, it's like 20%, 15% maybe.
I would say like 20 as well. And like the larger issue is, by the way, the Jets themselves did this. Like, don't blame us or national media, and no one is that's listening to this. The Jets themselves essentially said, it felt like during many pressers, that all they needed was a quarterback, a middle of the pack, top 12 to 15 quarterback, and all their problems would be alleviated. And right now, Aaron Rodgers is a middle of the pack quarterback, and the Jets stink. So that's the larger issue. And now it's good that I've had a couple of days to do this, because I get the 90-minute post game on SMY, and then I've really have not had to talk directly about the Jets now for 2 days. And I thought a lot about this while driving. It's even more magnified when you look at, for so long during this drought, New York sports was largely, at best, significantly underachieving and mediocre. At worst, embarrassing. You had, well, let's start at the top, the least worst. The Yankees just couldn't get over the hump and get to the World Series. But Yankee fans, and I'm not one, I know, we're just furious that every year it's like you lose to the Astros. And you're the Yankees. The bar is so different. The Yankees for so long could not get to the World Series. It is wild that the Yankees did not appear in a World Series for 15 years. They got over the hump this year. The Mets, since they've been bought by Steve Cohen, are a real organization. They now have one of the smartest executives in sports running the roster and the team. They have a positive, really high ceiling manager, and they have a good roster, and they're fun. People like the Mets. They're a little punchy this year, and you could see the future for them. They made it to the NLCS this year. They were one of the 4 teams remaining in baseball, them and the Yankees. So baseball in this town has made a huge comeback. Baseball is in a good place. Hockey, the Rangers won the President's Trophy last year and are a Stanley Cup contender this year. Even the New Jersey Devils are interesting with some of the young talent they have, and they think they have a goalie now. The Islanders kind of tread water, but at least the Islanders make the playoffs. The Islanders aren't completely embarrassing every year. Then you get to, the Liberty won a championship, by the way, Sunday night. The Jets and Giants are a fucking embarrassment to the town. And it's not just that they go out there and lose and you feel bad for them, or it's that they just do things in such an unconventional way that is so behind modern football organizations. And I include the Giants in this too, because everybody loves to do the Giants didn't have expectations this year. They didn't have expectations this year because they stink. The roster is never built out the right way. They're tied to a quarterback that everybody hates. They just stink. That's not good that you don't have expectations. How many years have they not had expectations now? The Jets, on the other hand, had expectations and stink, which is, it feels worse. It feels worse internally because you need to break this playoff drought and the expectations are so different. So the problem is right now, why it's so easy to sit here and identify just how bad things are, is everything around you in New York is professional. There's money dumped into the organizations. They win. People want to go to the games. And I didn't even touch on the Knicks as I'm sitting here wearing a Knicks hat. The Knicks have been one of the best turnarounds of all because the Knicks were,
more of a joke than the Jets for a while.
More of a joke than the Jets. They were more of a joke than the Jets. And the Knicks are the storyline of this town right now. And, as we sit here and record before the opener tonight, whatever happens in that game, the Knicks are a contender this year. So it's so frustrating to sit here where at some point, right? At some point, the people making the decisions in the Jets organization maybe just can't make the right decision. And I know that's hard to hear. And it's not something that you want to even come out and say. But at what point do you look around and go, we've tried this, we've tried that on the roster, in the front office, on the business side of things. And what's even crazier is I sit on Twitter and I see season ticket holders, and my family's not one anymore. Once the PSLs came down, that was that. That was a disgrace to the fan base as it is, but that's a whole nother combo. I see people posting that they're getting invoices to pay off their 2025 season tickets. We don't even know who the coach is going to be. There's a good chance Joe Douglas isn't here. There's now a chance that we don't even know who the quarterback is going to be. And you're charging these people for season tickets now?
It's insane.
It is unfathomable that the lack of awareness is unfathomable, where you just sit here and you go, yes, there are things that are hindsight things, right? When we get on this and we like this signing and it doesn't work out, but from a full structure, it's not just the coaching or the players or you missed a field goal. At large, the Jets, from an organizational standpoint, have so many issues that are clearly, it's not a half-decade pattern anymore. They didn't go through a rebuild and failed. They have been a problem, a borderline laughingstock at times, for the better part of 15 years. And the reason is, you hear the emotion in my voice, you hear people like Rex Ryan talk, is because they care. But there's nothing you could do about it from the outside looking in, because the people inside don't ever figure out how to get the right people to figure things out. So it's where I have run into Jet fans this week One day I couldn't even get out of the building at NBC. Not that I'm mad. I love talking to people about it. Distraught Jet fans, multiple, that are just like, I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know when it ever changes. And for the first time, I kind of look at them and I go, what am I supposed to say? Because it doesn't change as long as the people at the top keep doing the same things or make the wrong choices all the time and just don't care about winning football games.